Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the When in Seoul podcast. It's Danny Cho here.
And this is Bobby Choi.
Hey, in this episode of When in Seoul, we are going to be talking about the hierarchy culture in Korea. For those that don't know, Koreans, it's run like kind of like a Confucianistic ideals of hierarchy.
It has everything to do with respect.
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah.
In social situations, in family, in business, there's just this hierarchy system that works where basically there's someone that's eldest and youngest and everyone in between in the way you're supposed to interact with each other.
Right. So, like, for example, for a guy, when you're speaking to someone that's older than you, that's a male, then you call him hyung.
And if they're an older sister,
Yeah.
then you call her nuna.
Nuna, right? And so technically, Bobby, since you're older than me, I should call you hyung.
Right.
Don't, because Korean Americans, it's different for us a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, we can't, personally for me, like hyungs, it's a term of respect.
Right, and you don't respect me, so that's the reason.
No, but like, for example, like now, if it's just calling someone there's no problem with that, right?
Yeah.
But then it's the way you interact. For example, hyungs or dunas or whoever's older, they
typically have to pay for stuff.
They have to pay for stuff.
Or
right?
take care of you.
Yeah.
Right.
So, it's basically the concept is if you live longer, you have more wisdom.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You know? And so also, on the flip side, though, if the hyungs or nunas tell you to do something, you kind of have to do it.
Sure. If
You know
you're
what I mean?
younger, you're the 동생.
Right.
Right. Okay.
So basically, it's kind of like, so it's like that in basketball, for example, like in sports.
Okay.
Like the rookies.
Rookies.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So the rookies, that's the 동생, right? And so all the veterans will like, oh, yo, you got to go do a coffee run.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
All
Or,
right.
yo, you got to carry all our bags from the bus.
It's almost like that hazing culture in, fraternities
yes.
and sororities.
Right.
And so it's somewhere along those lines.
Right.
But
But that's for life, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's because you can't.
In Korea, they take it's a bigger deal,
Right.
than we thought. Actually, than I thought when I first moved here, because it was the first time people were asking me what my age was.
Yeah, before they even ask your name, right?
Sometimes, like that was, it's a daily situation you're faced with, and so at first it was just kind of like really weird to me,
Right.
Because in the States, I go years knowing people and not knowing their age.
Right.
And to Korean people, that might sound weird. But yeah, we hardly ever ask our age, blood type, and stuff like that. It's something we definitely need to talk about because in Korea, they seem to tend to try to figure out how old you are so they know how to act around you.
Right. And on top of that, that's why I realize, because age is so important, when you ask somebody how old they are, they don't give you the actual number. They give you the year of birth.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? Like, you get a math problem back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You'd be like, yo, how old are you? And they'd be like, I was born in 1982. And you just got to start carrying over stuff. You know what I mean? You got to do math in your head.
I still never know. Like, I don't do the math.
Right.
In my head, if you're born after 1978, you're younger than me.
Right.
So that's all I need to know.
Right, absolutely.
And so, but here, they even like take it seriously down to
the month.
Even if I heard that if you're a twin, even if you're like born a minute sooner than your brother or sister,
right,
you are considered hyung or nuna.
But isn't that crazy though? It's we're just like let's hypothetically say we're twins. Bobby, right. It's like the Arnold Schwarzenegger, Danny DeVito movie, right? I'm Arnold Schwarzenegger, but
and you're older than me. Let's say you're older.
I'm older than you,
okay.
Right? All right. So then that means that like you have to kind of listen to me. Like if I tell you, like if but I'll get first dibs. I'd be like, yo, I want mom's right boob. You know what I mean? And then you get mom's left boob. You get the leftover boob, right?
And typically it would mean also you are entitled to inheritance as well, right? Wouldn't that be the case?
I mean, in a more traditional sense, yes.
Okay.
I feel like these days that's not the case. But when it comes to, like, for example, on my mom's side, my mom's parents had 8 kids, right? And when my grandparents died, the eldest got everything.
Okay.
Right.
So that is a case in point.
Right.
Both my parents also had about 8 siblings each, around there. And so I don't know. I just really didn't keep up with the system in our family at least.
Right.
Like I never called my 2 older brothers hyung. Not once in my life have I ever called them hyung.
Really.
And so it's just a system that, like, I mean, our parents didn't really press upon us. They moved to the States in the 60s, and they met and married in New York. And so for us, they never really pushed us to even learn Korean because they just wanted us to be American and survive there.
Right.
And so when I moved to Korea and everyone was asking me my age, it was just like, oh, this is so weird.
Yeah, what do you want to know? You know?
Yeah. And then so after a while, you kind of figure it out and you figure out, like, maybe you don't hang around with people that are younger than you because that means you always have to take care of them.
Right.
So,
but that's the thing, though. Like Bobby, like, you know, in the States, they always say, like, Asians look young for their age, right? That's kind of the stereotype, right? I mean, you are an extreme case of that, though. I mean, because amongst Asians, they can tell, like, how old, you know, you are. Like, even if foreigners can't. But you, on the other hand, look younger, even in the eyes of Asians.
I didn't know this till I moved here.
Yeah.
Like, because I deal with it every day. And they call me, they say I'm a 동안?
동안 means, like, young face.
Yeah, like baby face, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is it's a blessing and a curse. Like I will say that, you know, I've often gotten into situations where people didn't know my age and I didn't have to pay the bill, even though I was the oldest. And I'm not a wealthy person.
That's dope. That's dope. You know?
But I've been in situations where, like, actually I met, one time I met this guy at dinner and he was a singer. Kim Tae-woo?
Yeah, from G.O.D.
Of G.O.D., yeah, that guy.
Tall dude.
Yeah. And I remember we were at dinner, it was someone's birthday, and at the end of the meal, we were talking towards the end of the meal, and it turned out he was younger than me. But he did look older, and everyone was calling him hyung or oppa and stuff, and I figured he was older than me. But then, of course, we had to do the age thing. Right. And it turned out that I was the oldest at the table. And I was just like, oh, man. I was like, I guess I'm your young, but you're still going to pay for this, right? you're like a celebrity. Like, you have a lot of money, I'm sure. Yeah. So that's happened to me on many occasions.
I mean, you know, like that's the thing, though. It's not necessarily. I mean, I guess on a more kind of, if you're old school strict, if you're strict and old school about it, the oldest person. It's not mandatory that they pay.
But I know, you know? I think older people, older Koreans, they like to pay for their younger people. Right. We're from a different way of thinking and culture, so
because that's kind of like that gives them the right to be the young.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, because you know, like if you're gonna like tell people. Like, not tell them what to do, but if you're going to, like, you know, get this respect, you got to do something for it, right? You know?
Yeah, no, but I enjoy paying for my friends. When I have money, that's the first thing I want to do. I want to go out and take care of people, regardless of age. But I see the importance of it in Korea. We deal with it every day. It's a very important issue. There's even calling someone Nuna and stuff. It's very weird for me. I actually don't call... There's only... one person I've ever called Nuna. Besides, actually, I have cousins that are Korean.
That are older than you.
And if I call them Hyung and Nuna by just default and respect.
Right.
Because, I'm going to know them all my life and I should, they expect me to respect them.
You can't be like, hey, yo, Eungyung. You know what I mean? No, but that's the thing is like, you say you've never called your brother as Hyung, right? So I have a younger sister, right? And she will, maybe in her life, probably call me Oppa twice. Now, when she's talking about me to my mom, she'll say Oppa.
So, in the third person, she'll call you Oppa. Okay.
But then to me, she's called to me like once or twice. And I was like, what do you want? Because I was like, you want something. That's the only reason why you pull in the Oppa card.
It was that, what do you call it? Koreans call it aegyo.
Yeah.
Right? Like cutesy.
Yeah. She's like, Oppa, like, like, how are you doing? I was like, what do you want? Right. And at the time, she needed some money to go travel. You know what I mean? And I was like, all right. You know what I mean? So in our movie that we made, K-Town Cowboys, there is a scene where the character describes... It's supposed Oppa is when a female what a female calls an older male figure, right? Usually it's a term of respect. Yeah. But
for Kyopos,
but they want something. You know what I mean?
That's like that's more. Yeah, that doesn't really. I guess that could exist in Korea too.
Yeah. Because I saw a girl that clearly looked older than me, and she started calling me Oppa, and I was like, first of all, that's insulting to me, right? But I don't know, man. Like for me, like calling again to me, it feels like I have to respect this person. You know what I mean?
Automatically, right? Yeah.
And then so for me, and this is me growing up in the States, is like just because your mom and dad had sex earlier than mine, doesn't mean that I should respect you. Right. Matter of fact, you didn't do any of the work. You're just the result of it.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So why do you get that title just because you've lived a little longer than I have?
Right.
Now, if the person is like, let's say, like 5-6 years older, then it makes it a little bit easier for me to call that person Hyung or Nuna, right? But if it's like...
There's different rules for us. That's why this conversation is interesting. Because I feel like Koreans have their set of rules that they stick to really well. Yeah. But when it comes to us, we have rules too. Right. But they're very, what do you call it? Temperamental. It's based on how we feel about the situation. And so there's oftentimes like respect is earned for us in our culture. I guess that's the closest we can get to a term. Right. So we do call people Hyung or Nuna. Yeah. But it's all usually based on if we respect them or not.
Well, we respect them, one, and two, if they seem like that's important to them.
Right. If it's exactly. Yeah. And so if let's say they are from Korea but they live in the States, they've been there for a long time, but they are more accustomed to the Korean culture, and we know that's important to them, and we actually do respect them, then maybe we'll call them Hyung. Yeah. And so, oftentimes I've met like people you call Hyung, and automatically that tells me I should respect this person. If Danny respects them that much to call them Hyung, then I should probably call them Hyung too.
Yeah, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not the good marker for who I should respect or not, because sometimes I'm just seeing other people, I'm like, all right, I guess I got to call this dude Hyung. I don't necessarily respect the guy.
For the most part, I've never rescinded that title from somebody.
But for 1 week you call him Hyung, you're like, nah, his name's John from now on, right? No. But yeah, I mean, like there's like you're right. I feel like what I like to call, or what we like to call fobs, and I don't know if it's a derogatory term, but like fresh off the boat. Yeah. So people that are born and raised in Korea, but they live in LA or the States for a little bit. So you can tell by their accents their English is kind of has a little bit of an accent, like I like the K-Town Cowboys. Very very fun, like we got that kind of accent. But he or she is cool. then I'm all right, man. Here you go. Here it is. You get the Hyung and Nuna card.
I remember one time I was at a restaurant, a Korean restaurant, with my other Kyopo friends when I was in like high school, and I remember one of my friends. He's not really Koreanized, but he used to use the term Nuna to like the wait staff. Like he would call them Nuna, and often, but he did it because often they would give him service.
Right.
Like they would be, oh, this guy just called me Nuna. He's a Kyopo kid, you know, and so he always gets like a free soda. Or something.
It's kind of like you're like kind of flirting. You know what I mean? Well, not flirting, but you're doing it to like make the waitress feel better. Because
on the scale of age, you're flattering somebody.
Yeah. You can't just be like, hey, yo, ajima.
Yeah.
Yo, give me some kimchi. Be like, man, don't call me ajima. You know what I mean? Like, so, yeah. I mean, you know, it's, again, that's kind of like oppa. You kind of want something, you kind of flirting, you know, aegyo.
In the same sense, though, people can feel slighted if you treat them
right.
I mean, hyung, oppa, those are just titles, right? But really, it comes down to the way you talk to somebody, the way you give them people respect, whether you know them or not. And so this kind of happened to me in Korea actually one time, where we almost got into physical altercation with this kid, where he was physically abusing his girlfriend on the street. And so I was with a group of people. It was like 6 of us, like 4 guys and 2 girls. And we saw this going down, and we were trying to help the girl. And this guy was out of control. He was just like, he started to swing at us.
Oh, wow.
He was like yelling at us. So we were yelling at him, and I was trying to calm him down. We were getting his girlfriend away from him. So he was just losing it. And it came down to age at one point where he was like talking panmar to us and stuff. But
informally,
but he was like younger than us, right? And then at some point, I don't know when in the conversation or when in the argument, he was like asked my age or something. And I was like, oh, I'm 78.
Born in 1978.
Yeah, and then so he was like, oh, like looked at me like I was lying. And he was like, come on. 지랄하지 말라고.
He's stop bullshitting me.
지랄 is, I think, a swear word. Right? It's like, but it made me mad. I was like, what? I'm 78. Why would I be lying to you? But it was the first time I was like, all right, this kid is completely disrespectful. And down to, I felt like, this is what it must feel like to care about your age so much.
You're mad Korean right now.
I was just like, 나는 출발인데, 너는 뭐라고, 난 새끼 뭐. I was like losing it, man.
That's funny, dude. Like, because you're Korean, obviously, by blood or whatever, but that's like embedded deep down Korean stuff that right now that this guy triggered.
Yeah,
right?
And I think it's a Korean blood in me.
Right.
You know, that connection I keep talking about when I moved to Korea. I felt connection to this place.
Right.
I need to be here to discover what that means. And you know what? To be honest, the age thing does kind of matter to me.
Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing, though. This concept, there's a certain concept regarding the age that even Koreans get a little bit, like, confused about. Yeah. Which is the 빠른.
Oh, this is something took me a while to understand.
Right.
빠른 means fast.
Right.
Right?
So meaning that, like, let's say that I am a 빠른 1982. So that means that I was born like in January of 82.
Earlier that year.
Yeah,
right.
So that means that, I'm kind of like 1981. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'm kind of older than the fools that were born in 82.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And so people stress that 빠른 thing.
Right.
Okay? I have a friend who says he's 빠른 80.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly the situation.
Yeah. And
he says it all the time.
Yeah.
And it's really important for him to let people know that he's born earlier in that year. Because what that does is that means I'm actually kind of 1979.
So everyone that's born in 1980 and below, I'm young to all these fools.
Yeah.
Like that's what he's trying to do. You know, but what screws it up is because like this guy might have friends that he doesn't have to call hyung that are born in the 1980s, and he also has friends that are born in 1979. But if the 1980s dudes aren't 빠른,
right,
then they have to call the 79 dudes hyung.
Right.
You know what I mean?
On a chessboard, it's basically it's the difference between being a pawn and a bishop,
right?
Or like, you know, like a rook or something like that. You're still not a queen or a king.
Yeah.
You know, but like you're still in, you know, a foot soldier,
right?
But even within those ranks, there's their own system of respect.
So it's so weird because, like, you know, I mean, I'm not a bottom 82. I'm a kind of late 82. My birthday's in September, right? So like, you're like, all right, you know, I mean, but I guess for me as a kyopo, as a Korean American, dealing with these like business situations or like, you know, I mean, because a lot of times I'm meeting people on a more, how do you say, it's not for friendship sometimes. It's more like potential business or whatever.
Sure.
So networking. So I have to behave according to kind of Korean laws and customs. So like I'm like, man, you were just like a year older than me. I don't want to call you hyung or whatever. But also, there's some leeway given that I'm a kyopo, so that they don't fully... not even the hyung part, but overall, just kind of like, they're not going to make me do anything or like, you know, whatever, right? But we do have some hyungs that live here.
Right.
That like, I feel like I have to be at their what is it? Their beck and call. Just because they're like, yo, let's meet up. And like, not because I'm busy, but just because I don't want to today because I'm gonna have to drink a lot or whatever.
Right.
But you gotta.
But Koreans have a way of cutting those people out of their life as well. You know, even though they are hyung, or they are nuna or 언니, or I noticed that. Yeah, I mean, there's a respect within that system, where. Yeah, if you don't like someone that's older than you, you just get out of social situations with them. And Koreans are very good at that, I noticed. For us, that exists as well. And so, and I've seen you do that with certain people.
I'm like, late. but you know, like, but again, in English, in the States, it's easy for me to just, you know what I mean?
I mean, we never talk about age. I mean, like, with people, it's very uncommon. Right? And so... I don't know. It's just like a daily thing we deal with every day, and I actually like it. I'm used to it now. Right. You know, that situation when Kim Tae-woo happened. I know it happened with me with Yuk Chung-wan, also another
Rose
singer.
Motel.
Yeah. He had been talking Banmar for me for a while, and then one day someone corrected him and says, "You know, he's older than you." Right. And he's like, "What?" And he was so apologetic. Like, he was just like, I'm so sorry. I thought you were younger, and I'm so sorry. I was like, it's no big deal at all. Listen, you still don't have to call me young. Please, just be 편해 around me. Like, I don't... Actually, you don't have to call me young. Right? That situation. So, but if it were somebody that... was younger than me, that I didn't like, and they were treating me that way, I'd probably say, 나는 칠빠른데?
No, I mean, like, I get it too, because I had a similar situation where I met this guy, he's like a manager for some celebrity, and then it turns out that he's like 3 years younger than me. But he looks my age, because I don't look that young either, but he looks my age, right?
Yeah, you look like my young.
F you. And so we were talking, and then we established that I'm older or whatever, right? But then he got drunk, and then he got a little too comfortable that, you know, he said, he was telling the person next to him, like, oh, he's funny, which is good, but what he said was, 이 새끼 너무 웃겨. Right? Okay. And I was like, what you say, Mo? Like, I want to be like, yo, hey, yo, what? You know? Yeah. 새끼, right? You know what I mean? Like, so which is like, you know, it's not like a terrible curse word, but it is like not.
It is a sign of, you know, you're a little bit of disrespect.
Yeah. So I was like, hey, yo, man, like,
again, it comes down to respect.
Yeah. Then that's why I haven't met him yet. He wants to come to my comedy shows.
Okay.
And I'm like, all right, man, if you want to come, then follow me on Instagram and you'll see it, right? But
wow, so you've actually hold a little grudge.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Now, we were just talking about age, but this also is something that this hierarchy system is also dependent on things like for example, schools or like companies or like, you know, for example, freshman versus a senior in high school or in college or whatever. There is that respect thing too.
Right.
know?
Within a business situation,
right.
there's, you know, you have CEO, VPs.
Right.
You have, I don't know. I don't work in a corporate situation, but that's basically what happens in Korea as well. And you have to figure that out right away,
right.
Of course.
But like for example, when I used to work as a business consultant back home in in LA, the head of the company, right? I wouldn't call him like, hey, Mr. Partner, sir, or excuse me, Mr. President, sir. I'd be like, hey, yo, Steve.
Right, yeah.
Right, you know what I mean? But here, you can't just call the president of the company Steve.
Right, yeah.
You know, you got to call him like 회장님 or whatever their title is.
By the way, that's what I call my wife, 회장님. She required it, so she never told me what it meant.
Yeah.
She's just like, hey, by the way, I'm 회장님.
Yeah.
That's that's the deal.
Yeah. That means president. That means CEO of your company.
That's the top, right?
Yes,
the 회장님,
yes.
and then there's 부장s and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know what those are.
Yeah.
I just know that they're underlings.
Yeah, exactly. So you know, I have friends that are in entertainment companies here, and regardless of age, whoever has a higher position. They are referred to as like if your position ends with the nim at the end, that kind of means like, you know, you're somebody important, right? Even in the comedian world in Korea. So apparently, in order for you to be considered a comedian or they call it a gag man here, you have to pass a certain audition/test. For a specific rate, like a broadcast station. Okay. You know what I mean?
They put you through the ringer, some kind of ringer. Okay.
Now, there are people that might be in their 30s that just passed the test, but there's dudes that are in their 20s, but they passed it 4 years ago. Then the guy that just got in their 30s is the rookie.
Okay, it's just like army ranks.
Right.
It's the same with the army.
Yeah, so it don't matter how old you are, it's your ranks. You know what I mean? And again, the hazing culture there is apparently very, very apparent. And
in the comedy world?
Yes.
How does that work?
Like for example, so I talked to a lot of comics that just started. They have to like stand in the room, right? While all the other comics are trying to like make fun of, like make them laugh. But if you laugh, then apparently they stopped this now, but in their time, like if you laughed, then everyone got hit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
By order of by order of the lowest ranking to the veteran, right? And I've never been to the Korean Army, but like this guy once told me that his superior basically said, you're my ET. Right? That means that, you know how ET, they do the pointer finger and they touch?
They touch fingers, right? Okay.
So that means that this guy cannot untouch this dude's finger.
Okay.
So this guy was walking around like going to the bathroom or going to eat. So the subordinate had to like continue to follow this guy around with the ET move. Okay. You know what I mean? So I mean it's that, you know, it's not like hardcore hazing, but it is kind of a pain in the ass to be, you know, to be the subordinate here. You know what I mean? And you know, what's funny is that I thought that I didn't know that many Westerners knew about this hierarchy system kind of in Korea. But apparently Malcolm Gladwell in his book Outliers.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you read that book?
I don't read.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I read that book, and it was probably one of the most interesting chapters in that book. It basically talks about that the hierarchy system that used to exist in Korean Air within their crew members and their pilots specifically.
Yeah.
And so, long story short, basically because of the system, planes were crashing. And so, like co-pilots or lower pilots would look at the head pilot and often not say something because out of fear or out of respect.
Yo, pilot, there's like smoke coming out of an engine. You'd be like, I think that.
Not like that. It's more like decision making. You know, if you don't agree with the decision that the head pilot has made. If you're younger, you're going to feel like, it's not your place to say anything.
Right.
And so I guess planes were crashing and nobody was understanding this until they brought in a foreign instructor and wiped that system out and just made everyone equals. And then ever since, planes stopped crashing and they let, ever since Korean Air, they've been number one in many senses. So but because of that system, it was like all whack, out of whack.
Yeah.
So
even apparently in the 2002 World Cup, the coach was a foreign coach. I forget what country he's from, but he was a foreigner. And again, there's a hierarchy system even amongst athletes
that he recognized.
Yeah, but he was like, "Yo, you can't call these people hyung." Because you can't be like, hey, 명보 형 or whatever. That takes too long, right? Right. So so just take the hyung part out, right? So that was slowly happening. Although apparently there was not troubles, but they felt very weird to adjust to that. But toward the end of their run, they weren't even saying 명보 형. They were just saying like, "Hey," which is
even worse.
Yeah, which is worse. But
right.
Yeah. So
and
they got far.
We'd say like, "Hey, over here."
Yeah,
we call people by their last name. "Hey, Cho, over here," kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they're just like, "Hey." I guess that's a little bit.
Yeah.
That's lingo for your team to know at least. The other team might not do it the same way, but
it doesn't matter because you're playing people from another country. It's not like Portugal. Team Portugal knows Korean to be like, they're gonna pass it to this guy.
Well, basically, what we're talking about today is, for us, we've grew up with that phrase, "respect your elders," right? And this term exists in all cultures, I think, and so here. You have your seniors back home as well, have certain, they get the right of way.
Yes.
As a pedestrian, of course, you always want to take care of them first. Seniors get discounts to everything. They get early bird dinners, stuff like that. Yeah. They get, my mother is a senior, she's 75. And so, she gets her bus passes and transit passes at a discount. In Korea, actually, seniors over a certain age get to ride the subway for free.
Wow.
And so they don't have to pay for that. Or I believe they get discounted as well on the buses and stuff like that. And so the difference here is if you are on a subway, there's actually on either side of the car, the subway car, that's where senior citizens have their seating. Right. And it's only meant for them or for the disabled or the pregnant, right? Or even the pregnant, there are seats for pregnant women now. Right. As well.
Pink chairs.
For seniors to sit over there, that's their spot. Even if the car is empty, you don't usually see younger people sitting in those seats unless they're foreigners. Yeah. You know right away if a young person sitting in those seats, they're a foreigner. Yeah. And we right away judge them because we feel like, hey, we know something over them. Yeah. But apparently Korean people, when they see elderly people sitting in the middle seat area, in their section, apparently they get a little annoyed that they're not sitting in their given area.
Right.
I mean, they have this whole, basically, I don't know what the makeup, if it's 20% of the car is theirs.
Right.
So I guess people they feel a little bit like, hey man, you already get all this space. Why are you taking more?
Now, when you say that, I've actually overheard a few old ladies who sat outside of the designated elderly seats.
Yeah.
And then I heard them say, I don't like sitting there because it makes me feel old.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to be like, but you are. Like, what are you talking about? You know? But that's the thing, was like, so going off the young elderly culture thing, like old people, they kind of have, I mean, I'm not saying that they have a free pass to be jerks or whatever, but they, you know what I mean? They kind of do in a little way. You know what I mean? Like I go, yo, if I lived in Korea and I was like in my late 60s or 70s, dude, screw the seats at the ends. I'm sitting anywhere I want. I'm going to sit on the floor. You know what I mean? I'm like, whatever, dude, you know?
Right.
But there's also, it's funny, is that like, you see people, I don't want to break it as classism, I guess, but you see elderly people that look like they're a little bit well off.
Yeah.
And then you see some elderly people that look like they're struggling. Kind of, I don't say low class or whatever, right? But there's a gap between them too, because like I don't want to say that they're low class, but like you know, there's some, for me, I'd be like, yo, if I'm old, I'm gonna be on my cell phone and just speak loudly. I don't care.
Right.
But here's the thing: it's kind of like, I feel like their attitude is, when I was younger, I had to deal with this crap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. They were spat on. They were treated. Like subordinates.
Yeah, I got hyunged all the way up to here.
Right. It's
now
my turn.
I deserve to hyung everybody else, right? Like that's kind of, I think that might be the attitude, really.
Yeah.
You know, which I think Korea is slowly changing that to be like, yo, you just can't be a jerk about it, though. You know what I mean? Or you just can't be like, you know, kind of low class is not the word.
I've seen younger people stand up to elderly people when they're being a little overboard with their young or with their power. Right. They're having power trips with their age. Right. And so it's not just a set in stone rule that you have to respect these people just because they're older. So it is respect your elders, but if there's also a set of rules within rules, and just you have to know how to navigate through these things if you're going to live in Korea. Right. You're going to visit, for the most part, Korean people, they'll give you a pass because you're not from here. Yeah. You know, so when I first got here, a lot of people were just like, you don't have to abide by these rules, especially when we're in drinking. Yeah. It's fun to talk about because you're visiting this country, and so you always have the conversation of when you're pouring soju and stuff like that. 2 hands, of course. Yeah. For me, like, I've always, like, until we had the conversation, or even after we had the conversation of who's older, and even if I was the eldest, I always pour 2 hands. Like, out of respect, even to younger people, because I want to show them, you know, I respect your culture. Right. They often tell me, stop pouring with 2 hands. It's just like, no, I want to do that because I just want you to know that I respect you. Yeah. And so often that can work in your favor too. You should respect the culture that you're visiting, right? And so, and often, you know, if you are the eldest, I've seen people at the head of the table, like, of course, you're not supposed to drink until they drink, or eat until they eat, or, you know, or stand up unless they stand up. I guess those are the rules. But they'll often just say after the first drink, they'll be like, just 편하게, let's just, you don't have to do the 2 hands, you don't have to call me whatever, this or that. Just that 존댓말 and 반말 is a thing here, which is basically speaking formally and informally. Right. And so I've been in situations where we've just cut out all that. Right. And so just learn how to navigate. When in doubt, just speak formally with anyone, even if you know if they're younger. Yeah. People will appreciate it, especially because you're a foreigner. Yeah, I mean, if like there's a social dance you got to do to kind of. I think
to be safe, you start off with formal 존댓말, right?
Yeah.
And then, you know, you have to have this social dance to be like, all right, like, you know, you can't just off the bat, even if you know you're older, just go 반말, because that's rude.
That is rude.
Irregardless, you know. I mean, I catch my uncle, like, who's his 70s, right? He'll go to a restaurant and he'll just immediately, you don't know this, 아줌마, and he's like, 반말, right?
Yeah.
And I could see that the waitress kind of has this like, ooh, I mean, I get it, but you know what I mean? But
it happens often when you have the drunk uncle or the drunk ajashi.
Yeah.
They're just all caution to the wind.
Yeah.
And so,
and I can't tell my uncle that's rude. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, all right, but your thing about the two hands, regardless, I do it too. You know what I mean? And then if they go, oh, you know, you don't have to do it with two hands, it's like, no, it's because I got weak wrists. You know what I mean? Like, I just kind of play it off like that,
right?
And then they'll just let it go. You know?
Yeah. For the most part, you know, you're a respectful guy. I've seen you in that situation, but you know what? From now on, I think you should call me Hyung.
I won't call you Hyung, but I will call your wife Hyungsunim. You know that. That's
and you have been.
Yes.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah, just because I know that she will. That's more proper for her, right? You know.
Yeah, and if I end up paying for anything for you, you better call me Hyung.
Yeah. So so I'll call you Hyung for yesterday's coffee, buddy. Well, if you have any questions or comments, please email us at peninsulapod@gmail.com. And for all female listeners, you can call me Danny Oppa. That's fine. And I will pay for nothing.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for joining us this week, and we'll see you next time. And 안녕하세요.
안녕히 가세요.
안녕히 가세요.
Yeah.
How do we say goodbye, hello? Anyway,
I think the better way is like, okay, here it is. I got it. This is what we do. So see you next week. 안녕.
안녕. Yo.